Hello and welcome to the Animation Kimmunication podcast, your source for discussion about animation, film, fandom, and more. So please join your host, I Love Kim Possible a Lot, or KP, and Lauren Kizich, the Abbey Roadie, for today's discussion. If you like what you hear, please remember to support by giving a like, a follow, as well as subscribing to the main I Love Kim Possible a Lot channel on YouTube. Spread the word and keep being a part of a great community. This episode contains heavy adult language and is not appropriate for young children. Can't.
Welcome, everyone, to Animation Kimmunication, our first 2021 recording, I guess, technically.
We're out of the hell year! Yay!
Yeah,
Yay!
I'm just like, it's all made up. Like, you know, like, our years are recorded by, like, human error, so, like, it's not gonna be over until, you know, we get a vaccine, but no one wants to hear that. So, you know, I guess 2020's over.
Look, even I'm gonna have to be like, come on, be a little bit more optimistic than that. All we can say is all we can say is like 2020 is behind us. Thank God for that, and let's just try and see if we can make 2021 better.
It's
as best
all
as we can.
over. The virus is gone now. All politics have sorted themselves out. It's all over now. It's well behind us.
I'm not acknowledging that. That's all gone.
Fine. This is fine.
I mean, for once, New Year's it's like I was okay with New Year's not feeling like a new year. It was very different, but kind of chill and mellow, at least on my end. So that was good. I'd rather take that.
New Year's for me was just like euthanizing a sick dog. It was just like, let's just get it over and it's done and we can just move on with our lives after this point. Oh, God.
Yeah, I learned that having multiple people in my house that I don't know as well scares me, or not scares me, like triggers my anxiety, even if it's not like any individual person's fault. Like, we've had both of my brother's girlfriends and now, like, for all of this, and like I hate it so much, and it's not anyone's fault, but like I just like want to die, and you know, it's fine. So my stuff has been like all over the place this couple of weeks, but no one wants to hear about that because that's sad.
Well, thank you for not dying.
I mean, you know, like there's this meme that I always like where like the depression is just like go kill yourself, and then like the other guy's just like, no, kill me yourself, you coward. So, you know, that's kind of morbid, but you know, it's a little like, it's a little enlightening a little bit. Anyway, and then you
got some headlines though, right?
Yeah, we'll get, that was personal stuff. I yelled at people. It's fine. Okay, so you know, there's not really a lot of headlines because the majority of them we already covered in the Christmas episode special, so those were the Disney drops, so we covered those there. At the best that we could, there was just so many, and you know, everyone won't
we kind of
shut
went
up.
on for like 40 minutes about that.
I mean, there was a lot though. There's a lot. Disney dropped like 40 shows or something, and they're like half of them are Star Wars.
Minimum 35 new projects, and a good chunk of them are either Marvel or Star Wars.
Things people care about, and then I'm just like, okay. Anyway,
not a single Emperor's New Groove spin-off show, not a single one. I'm so upset.
Well, we already have one, so we don't need another
Emperor's New
one.
School, but you know what?
Another one.
I kind of want another.
I want a series about.
I like it. Another.
I want a series about Isma. I want a series about Kronk. I want a series about the squirrel that Kronk talks to. I want a series about everyone in Emperor's New Groove.
Well, it's tricky to do an Yzma show because of the kit. Yeah. Right. But she was in all of Emperor's New School, right, Lauren?
Yes. I mean, basically, the show ended. I think the show ended like right before she died. So I think, not long before she died, anyway.
That's how I want to going out like to like still doing stuff the last minute, and then you're like, oh, mortality, what's that? So
one hell of a finale then. Jesus.
Yeah.
Just took her out.
Is Emperor's New School on Disney Plus, Lauren?
Good question. I'd have
It's
to
gotta
check
be.
that.
Yeah, I'm
It's gotta
sure.
be.
I'm sure it is. But the Aladdin series isn't.
If it isn't
so,
already, I'm sure it's slated to be.
yeah.
Yeah.
Can someone add the Aladdin series on Disney Plus, please? That would be nice. It's not fair.
We kind of sort of have it there in spirit because of one episode of the Hercules show.
That doesn't count. It's weird because that's the furthest canon thing, like technically there, because they're like, oh, Jafar died.
Emperor's New School is on Disney Plus.
Okay, good.
But it's funny because I think, let me see if Kronk's. Okay, and Kronk's New Groove is also on there. So
I did try to watch Kronk's New Groove, and I got about 2/3 in. I'm like, I'm done. This is no.
I do not feel like suffering today.
But the baking bread innuendo is freaking hilarious.
It really is, but there's like little else to salvage that movie.
I haven't seen that one yet, and now I'm afraid to. But anyway, so my only news that welcome to the Treasure Planet podcast again, because I'm a person on a mission, and comparing since we brought up Emperor's New Groove, comparing that both movies that kind of did in the box office, but I feel like Emperor's New Groove has gotten a lot more genuine attention because
cult status.
Yeah, it's a cult classic, and we got a series, and we got Yzma's descendant in Disney's Descendants, because that's what I fucking wanted. Yeah.
Wait, that's a thing?
Yeah, they Descendants is so poorly made that they just run out of bad guys, and we're just let's use this person.
If Disney does anything towards Emperor's New Groove, it's already scraping the barrel. They have ditched that movie hard.
Yeah. No, I think they do. It does pretty okay, where it should be. They put a lot of shout outs and they make a lot of merch of it, but Treasure Planet gets nothing. So anyway, speaking of that, this is the only Treasure Planet thing that's actually happened since the fucking t-shirt that came out of Hot Topic. So I have both the Disney apps, as I've talked about. If you feel like wasting your time and not spending money, it's fun. For quarantine, you get to have all these Disney characters fight each other. So
wait, specify again which app it is.
Okay, there's two apps.
Disney app. I'm you have
there's
to
two apps. There's the 2D one, which is Disney Heroes, and there's the 3D one, which is Sorcerer's Arena. And Sorcerer's Arena is technically better because it's more strategy versus Disney Heroes. You kind of put them on auto mode during the actual fights. But Disney Heroes has a lot more I think it's a lot more funner because there's not canon, but there's in-character interactions with characters that don't usually have interactions. They're all in this pseudo city. Blended together, and that's my thing.
Disney Smash Brothers.
Yeah, essentially. So I think I talked about
cute.
this. Yeah, so you'll get you'll be you unlocked a hero. This hero is friends with this hero. Then they can go on a separate side quest and they talk to each other in character, and I think it's adorable. So that's the only thing. Versus Sorcerer's Arena doesn't have any of that. They still do still do sneaky things. The game started with Lauren, what's the villain from Black Cauldron, the bony guy?
Oh, the Horned King.
Yeah, the Horned King. So when the app launched, they already had the Horned King, which is they know what they're doing, but it's relatively newer. So they don't have as many heroes, but they kind of try to juggle between popular characters and odd characters. They have Sorcerer's Arena has Krunk and Yzma, and they have off the top of my head, they have weird things. They have Cobra Bubbles from Stitch, and they have so they try to give they have Atlantis villains, and they have Hunchback villains, and they don't have any Hunchback heroes or anything, but anyway, but Disney Heroes is newer. I mean, Disney Heroes is older, so they have a bigger catalog of heroes. So I wasn't gonna even bother with Disney Heroes, but then Disney Heroes added Kim Possible, and I'm just like, shit, now I have to. So I got it, and now I don't regret it because it's funner. So Kim is friends with Joy from Inside Out, which okay, and Darkwing Duck, which okay, whatever. So
tense.
she's yeah, it's fine. So Joy and Kim have like this like their storyline is helping kids with their homework or something like that, which works pretty well for Kim's character. But like Joy is weird because she's like an emotion. Like
Yeah, I was gonna say.
What if the emotions had the emotions?
She's friends with an abstract concept.
I don't know. They're they also have an Inside Out ride, or they will at Disney Pixar Pier or what the fuck ever. So I don't know.
They already do. They already do. It's a. I think they call it. What they call it, like a whirlwind of emotions. It's literally just a reskin of the Bugs Life ride that they had a while back, and they just.
But no one likes Bugs Life, so it's fine.
Excuse you. Don't open that can of worms with me.
We got us an Ants fan over here.
I mean, like it's much better than Ants, but like of all the Pixar like filmology, like Bugs Life seems to not be aging as hotly as some of the other stuff. So I always like kind of give it shit.
Like it's not a perfect movie, but do I watch it every time it's on TV? Absolutely.
But Lauren, you watch everything that's on TV.
Well,
now it's on streaming services, but you know,
I mean, I'd probably feel the same way about Brave. I think for Bugs Life, I feel that way about Brave, about it being just a very meh movie. I mean, I think we can all agree the Cars movies are the worst, but like the one that's just less worse than the Cars, I think I would put Brave there. Or Good Dinosaur.
Yeah, the Good Dinosaur.
Oh, Good Dinosaur. Don't even get me started on Good Dinosaur and how much it disappointed me. The only good thing out of it was the T-Rex cowboys, and that's it. That was the only redeeming factor for me, other than, and from a technical standpoint, gorgeous movie. But from the story standpoint,
it looks like we got you started on this.
Welcome to the Pixar podcast.
This is the Pixar Rant podcast. Actually, we're talking Pixar today anyway, so you know this is a good segue.
This is all relevant anyway. So like, let me get to the actual thing that I'm supposed to be talking about. So Disney Heroes has a bigger array of heroes already. So I talked about, I think previously, they already had Captain Amelia by the time I downloaded, which I'm just like top tier. So Sorcery Arena doesn't have any Treasure Planet, and they don't have Kim Possible. They have Darkwing Duck for some reason. I don't know. I don't. And they have Demona, and then Disney Heroes has Goliath, which, so December they added Jim Hawkins, and I hadn't played in a while, and then I got like a notification on my app, and like, you can unlock Jim, and I'm just like, wait a minute. So I open the app, and there's the good boy, and he's got a sword, and they have the Solar Surfer and the whole thing, and I'm just like, yay, we've been acknowledged, because like previously on Treasure Planet, we've gotten like the movie's 20 years old. We got we got the shirt I talked about already. We got one ship from Disney Infinity for the Solar Surfer. And that's really it. So, like, anything, like, compare this to, like, you know, like Emperor's New Groove, for instance. We got, like, a bunch of different things, including Disney Descendants, which, you know, that's what I wanted, like.
You're like scurrying on the floor, collecting any crumbs that they drop off Treasure Planet. Like, yes, please, give me.
Yeah, like, anything. So, it's weird. So, I'll probably talk about it later, but, like, they treat the movie weirdly, and it's not that, like, you know, on hindsight, it's not it did pretty well for DVD sales. Marketing team, like, that's been confirmed inside. We'll talk about that again. We'll talk about that later. I did some digging. I know people. So anyway, so they added Jim, and I was very happy. And then but then like randomly I was looking through the heroes because they add new ones, and then they also added John Silver, and I saw him and I screamed like very happily, and I scared the dog Harry. But I, you know, like, so they got both the boys there, like, you know, I'm pretty satisfied. Like, I haven't unlocked Silver yet. I unlocked Jim out of luck because I don't pay for it. The only time I paid for Disney app, like any Disney or any app thing ever, was to unlock Kim Possible, and that was $3. And I'm just like, you know what, whatever, we'll just do it then. But I didn't pay for Jim, and Silver's not even like unlockable anyway with money right now, so it's fine. So I'll just wait. But I was very excited that I could have like my dream team, like Disney heroes, like with Kim Possible. But I hope they add like Shigo and stuff too. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. That'll be neat. But anyway, that's my news. So if you guys want to support Treasure Planet, go download Disney Heroes and pay either real or fake money for the Treasure Planet characters. And that's the only thing you can do right now. 20 years later. So, buy the shirt from Hot Topic. I mean, like, that's the kind of the thing that I hate during COVID is, like, as much as people bitch about the live action movies and how they're, like, going for the really popular things right now are really, like Aladdin and Lion King and, what was Beauty and the Beast, that was bad.
Mulan.
Mulan, which was badder. I didn't even bother watching it because everyone, like, complained about it, so I'm just like, that's fine. But eventually they're gonna run out of shit to make, so they're gonna have to look through like, oh well, I guess we have to like do a Atlantis movie. I guess we gotta do this other thing that no one cares about that like is better than just making an original movie because people might care about it versus not might care about it. So
I feel like if they're gonna remake Treasure Planet in any capacity, they'll probably just go back to Treasure Island, surely.
Oh, don't say that. Don't
I'm sorry.
don't. I mean, but the whole point of doing like the live action movies is to bank on like the nostalgia of the original movies. So like doing a Treasure Island movie, like not only is Treasure Island like very highly adapted, not as much as Christmas Carol, but it's still like, adapted a lot. So they wouldn't be able to nostalgia bank on that because they'd just be like, oh, it's that thing that like is in public domain. Good job, Disney. So versus Atlantis, which is like not in public domain. That. Well, I mean, the concept of Atlantis is because like the Odyssey and stuff. But so then that would reintroduce the franchises to new people, and then people would buy merch, and then Disney's like, oh, we like people actually like that thing that like we didn't do anything with for like a million years. Yay! So like Disney legacy and shit is important. So. Anyway, so, but then COVID happened, so, like, doing live action anything is harder, so, but now we have a butt ton of Star Wars stuff, so I guess that's the same thing. Shrug sigh. Okay, go download Treasure Planet, because it's good. I mean, if you feel like wasting a lot of time, it's fun. Like, what are you gonna do? Like, watch my videos? Like, who does that? So, in other news, so the Ratatouille TikTok musical thing like premiered this week or something. And do you know more backstory about it than me, Lauren? Because I just know it's like a thing.
What? I've heard only snippets of songs, and I have not seen the entirety on TikTok. But I do know that the lineup that they got for the official quote Broadway show of Ratatouille was a kind of star-studded lineup. Yeah, but they were doing this whole musical through basically a Zoom call, as far as I
I mentioned this in the Rudolph video, which you should watch because speaking of underperforming videos, so they did this thing on TikTok where I guess some girl like sings a song based around Remy the Rat from Ratatouille, like the other movie, and then people kind of comment on it, and then they get choreographers to do it because everyone's in quarantine and bored. I guess they're not on YouTube, they're on TikTok. That's where they are. Anyway, then it gets enough attention that I guess it becomes a thing, like a whole like trending thing, and people are contributing so much that like they can get away with like doing a whole musical about Ratatouille, and it got to the point where Disney noticed this. They approved. I guess they ticketed it in some way. They like for charity.
So,
I'm sure.
Yeah. So what it is I do know this. They raised about $1 million in ticket sales, for this, for the Actors Fund. So, which is, if you don't know, that's to help support actors in theaters basically all over the country, and it's to help actors who are especially ones who have been stuck throughout 2020 without their jobs. And that doesn't just go for actors. It also goes, I believe it also goes towards like the stage managers and the people that work at the theaters, but that's also Broadway Cares as well, which has also been raising funds in the midst of Broadway being shut down. But yeah, the Actors Fund in particular, they raised they got $1 million from the ticket sales for Ratatouille. That's why they did it, and
it's a lot of money.
Yeah, but I mean, this could be really huge, as a lot of people have been noting that this could be the future for a lot of shows that maybe if they're going to leave Broadway, they may record it, and then maybe they'll do, ticketed screenings and stuff like that of the pre-recorded stuff, and then that earns money as well. Because otherwise it's, unless things change for Broadway, it's very hard to get up to a Broadway show, because it's so highly priced most of the time.
Yeah.
Beetlejuice was like one of those rare exceptions where their ticket prices were purposely low enough that they knew that they're the millennial demographic and stuff. They were going to get in, and knew that they were the ones they were trying to appeal to with their ticket prices, to make sure that they got people talking about it. And nobody's more social media savvy than the millennials and all that stuff. So, but yeah, and that was their audience. And that's why they became so much more successful after they started. But yeah, so there's talk about how Broadway may change and how shows may change because of what things like the Ratatouille and what they may do.
Yeah, and like my whole thing is just like, how does the internet change like the way, media is distributed? And like, I think Ratatouille specifically was already like doing pretty well like pop culture wise, but this was just like free advertisement. So Disney was like Disney might have like in the 90s, if the internet was a 90s thing, Disney would have been like, oh, they're violating copyright, but like Disney did a reverse 180 for the better of all man. It was just like, that sounds neat, we're gonna let this be. And they even flew the girl who started it to Disney World, I guess, to see the Ratatouille, right. I guess the Ratatouille ride that I guess they was in Disney. Yeah. It was in Disney Japan before or something, and then
it was in Disney. It was actually at Disneyland Paris.
Okay. Oh yeah, that makes sense still. So and then they put it in Epcot, which also makes sense. So not only are they like leaving this alone and not cease and desisting everyone, which they shouldn't do anyway. But they're like actively like rewarding the lady who was just like, thanks for the free advertisement. Here's a trip to Disneyland. I hope you don't mind traveling during the pandemic. But then everyone's like, free trip to Disney World. Free trip to Disney World. Great. So
it is very out of character of Disney to sort of let this slide. I mean, I don't know much about. I knew broadly about the story, but I didn't know the full ins and outs. So I was just genuinely listening to the news as you was giving it to me.
Yeah.
But it's very out of character that Disney didn't. Well, I mean, maybe they were gonna. Maybe they were like in autopilot cease and desist mode until somebody's like, actually, no, this has gained real traction. Maybe we should be the good guys in this one.
Well, I mean, that's kind of the thing that I mentioned in the Rudolph video, which you guys should watch. Is that that's like we look at the pony stuff and like companies gain much better PR by just letting this stuff exist unless there's a huge breach on their copyright, where people are mistaking it for the real brand, which usually they're not for fan stuff. So, the line gets very close for online productions, especially if they're pretty good. And getting like very show accurate models has always been like a thing, and very political thing, but TLDR is it's in big corporations' favor just to let this stuff like be because it's free advertisement, and it's also like, you know, you don't want to punish people for being passionate about your IP. That sounds like a bad idea. So like Disney
like
in
what,
general. Go ahead.
So, I'm sorry. I was just saying that it's like what there's like record labels doing with TikTok now. They're like paying influencers on TikTok to like, please use our old library of music, because they're hoping that, you know, something in their library will become the next viral hit. And it's like somebody mused, it's like, if they tried this on, you know, if anyone tried that on YouTube, they'll get immediately like cease and desisted, DMCA'd, copyright strike, video taken down, blocked in different countries, all this stuff. But like, hey, did you not notice how just promoting your song or your movie actually helps, you know, sell your song and movie to other people? You know, it seems weird that, you know, the music industry seems to be the most behind on this when it comes to like embracing how people are using their media in transformative ways, like YouTube videos or TikToks. And it's like they're only now like taking advantage of TikTok because it can turn a monetary gain. But it's like that could have existed for you on YouTube as well, but you took the easier route of just like stopping everyone.
Yeah, no fun allowed. So, you know, but I think I guess it gives me hope for people, especially for like Disney, the biggest, like, somewhat, like, I hate to say this, but like also Disney's becoming a huge monopoly. Maybe we should like not do that. Anyway, that's my like piece of thing today. But you know, I think it's interesting, and it's probably for the best that this stuff changes. So I'm hoping that what follows is ideally a little bit of a linear path for you know, YouTube stuff in general. And that's again why the horse stuff really did well, is because like Hasbro just let it be, and like they had these like decently big conventions for one show, and it was like a really great form of advertising because people would bring their friends, and then other people are like, well, I've never watched this show, and they're just like, watch it now, and then they'd buy stuff. And you know, like all of that was like a huge breach of copyright, obviously, like, but you know, Hasbro let it be and they benefited from it, so maybe Disney should do the same thing. So I hope, like, of all the bad and good horse things that have happened, I hope the horses have like made a point that like if you just leave if you leave an IP alone and let fans like, you know, run with it within reason, then you will benefit from it financially, probably. So, and also it's the right thing to do. So anyway, if you haven't realized yet, we have Eddache back from the other time he was here.
That's
so
me.
Why don't you introduce yourself, Eddie? Tell the people what you do for.
Okay. Hi there. My name's Eddie Bodie, aka Eddache. I've been here before, but I do video essays on like cartoons and movies and just whatever nerdy shit I'm into at the time. And that's me. Yay.
One time he did a Scooby-Doo video where he, like, what did you do? You put, like, flour on yourself or something?
Yeah, I covered myself in flour. I covered myself in glow-in-the-dark paint. I created a mirror ghost. Like, I did a ton of shit for that one, and that was a lot of fun. That was a ton of fun, just doing, like, ghostly science experiments.
I just imagine, like, your poor neighbors, like, what is he doing? Like dumping himself in
Oh, they're used to way worse. Like, I work with Tom Scar a lot, and we filmed a sketch outside my house door, which involved a stripper. And she didn't get down to, you know, without underwear, but she was there in just underwear. And I didn't warn the neighbors that this was happening, and thinking maybe if we just do it during school hours, we could get away with it. We didn't, because a neighbor definitely saw. And then a few months later, that neighbor moved out, and that's fine.
I mean, if they can't take the heat, right?
Yeah. And I tried to go over and explain, like, oh, we're making a video. Oh, but it's not porn. Oh, now it definitely sounds like we're making porn now. And there was no escape.
But you got the beard for porn, right? Right, Eddie? You got the big, like, puffy, like, mountain man beard.
I do. I got me a nice big poofy beard right now. Like I've been getting it nicely shaped, so it's nice and long, but it's not like sticky outy all over the sides. I'm not like a mad Father Christmas. I feel like I'm a heavy metal rocker. That's exactly who I am, and I sound like one too.
So you can do like a groupie thing where it's just like, man, I've been rocking all night, but you know what? I could rock you tonight, baby. I don't know. Please don't take that out of context, like internet.
Oh yes, I will definitely try that one, and it will succeed 100% of the time.
I'm sure all the Brits love like random people in beards that like do YouTube videos with strippers. It's fine. Okay, anyway, so we're talking about Soul today, which is the new Pixar movie that, if you're living under a rock, it's exclusively on Disney+. It's no extra money. They learned their lesson. So it came out on Christmas, and, my sleep schedule was great because of my own shit. So I was up at, like, 4, and then I was like, oh, wait a minute. Soul came out at Christmas Day. It's technically Christmas Day, so I watched it. And then I fell back asleep, and not that it was boring, but it was very like philosophical, like ish. So I guess we'll get initial thoughts, and we'll go a little bit into spoiler territory after that. Lauren, you haven't said a thing, so do you have any spoiler-free thoughts about the film?
Like maybe just my personal take. Just for the record, I didn't cry at all at this movie as I was expecting to, because it seemed like a whole bunch of people were all going like, I'm in tears. I'm like, cool, I don't want to cry on Christmas, so I'm going to hold off until like maybe the day after. But then I watched and I'm like, I didn't cry.
Keep it in like a man.
But I'm just like, I just straight up, I mean, unless it hits me a particular way, I don't like to cry at movies. Straight up don't like to cry. Look, the first time I really openly bawled at a movie was Marley and Me, and let's just say that was just not.
That's like an exception to the rule.
That's fine to cry at. I mean, I told you guys before how much I cried at.
I don't like to cry at it though.
So
it's like spoiler alert, Marley and Me. In case you haven't figured out, it's a dog, and if you're crying at a dog movie, what do you think's gonna happen at the end? Sorry to people who have not seen it. It's okay.
The dog has puppies. It's great.
And he finally gets the bone. He finally gets a good juicy bone.
He finally catches his tail.
It's a romantic comedy with dogs, and then they finally pair up the dogs, and Lauren was just so like relieved that Marley finally found a hot bitch. Like, there you go. There's my joke. So, where's the Air Bud romantic comedy that we need, Disney? Like, you're missing out.
We don't need a romantic comedy. They already made puppies. And then
but they didn't talk about the
freaking spin-offs and sequels that we didn't need. But
yeah, all on Disney Plus for your $8.99 or whatever it is. So you were like okay about it, Lauren? Like,
I definitely loved it. In general, I do agree with what so many people are saying, in that it's the most mature Pixar film to date. It's certainly the most different. And I mean, and what's cool is that even with all these other Pixar movies, they all feel Pixar, even if they're all like very different from each other. This one, though, I feel is the most different, but I'm excited for the direction that Pixar can go from this point, because they dared to go with this kind of topic and address it the way they did, with the tone that they had. And especially when I'm seeing all these comments from people saying, my 8-year-old had, thought it looked like the movie was really cool, but didn't really get the gravity of the message of the movie, but my 12 and 13-year-old, they both loved it, that kind of thing, and they understood. So yeah, it's like, it's not, and after having watched it myself, not a kid's movie by any means. There may be some elements that little kids might like, but the message weighs so much heavier and so much more impactful for adults, especially those who have like gone through a lot or have gone through many years or just experienced so much that, it leaves a far bigger impact for people who have experienced a lot more of life and maybe are at a point of, questioning a lot of things about life and purpose and everything like that. So, yeah.
Okay.
That's as spoiler free as I can be.
Okay. What about you, Eddie?
Yeah,
Spoiler free.
I agree. It's tricky to talk about this film in any depth without stepping immediately into spoilers, but no, I agree. It is sort of it's deep. It's metaphysical. It's talking about like subjects that, whilst have been flirted with in the past in Disney movies, have never been done in such, I guess, stark depth, like as in like never been so frankly talked about. Sort of mortality as a concept in Disney is usually at most a plot device to make the character really want to get the thing more now. But for it to be like the entire framework of the movie and world building is a brand new concept, a bold concept for Disney, who like they always try to remain apolitical, and here they are talking about the afterlife in some broad concept, which is always going to be potentially divisive, but they went for it, and I think they did it in an abstract enough way, and it's very abstract that it shouldn't cause wide offense. But as a whole, I agree. It didn't make me cry. It did make me think, and it did make me sort of come away changed and sort of like I guess like feel emboldened, like I wanted to do something. I felt quite inspired by it, but I don't know if it's necessarily a film I would come back to. I appreciate the journey I had with it, but it's not something that I feel like I necessarily want to come back to and revisit over and over again. I don't think it has enough of those sort of like Pixar moments or these strong story moments that I want to revisit. It's more of a conceptual thing rather than a solid story, I would say. It seems to be more focused on getting a message and a feeling across than necessarily here's the adventure of these two things. An unlikely friendship forms, which is, obviously been the shtick they've done for quite some time now. So I agree. I appreciate they are going off in seemingly a nice radical direction. Perhaps this is the post-Lasseter era we're beginning to see take shape. But I would, I wouldn't rank this as a favorite Pixar film. Certainly a brilliant one. Certainly a very like conceptually like well thought out complex idea, but it's going to be really hard to it's as I said, I would revisit something like Finding Nemo and Wall-E and Monsters Inc. in a heartbeat, but this one I'm like maybe not. Like maybe I'm alone in that.
Describe it. I think how to best describe it is like, going off your point is like it's almost like a spiritual journey, because it's almost like you don't exactly revisit an experience, like a spiritual out of body experience. You don't revisit it. You experience it in that moment, and you take it in that moment.
Maybe it's something you need to give time in between. You don't want to revisit it again immediately. You kind of want to give it maybe a few months to a year, and then go revisit that experience again.
It's kind of like back in school, I used to go on like retreats with my classes, and usually at the end of these retreats, we would all sit together, or at least kind of go off even in contemplation and isolation for like a little bit to write letters to ourselves or to people we wanted to speak with, or, just kind of like personal letters. And then it was almost like for the purpose of being down the line, you could revisit these letters sometime in the future especially if it's written to yourself and you see like where you're at, you know, let's say you read the letter 10 years from the point you write it and seeing where you're at now and as a point of reflection. So it's almost like that kind of a movie where it's that letter that you write and it makes you think, and you think about the growth or the things you've experienced in your life. It just makes you really reflective.
I guess it's a movie about existential crisis, and that's not something you necessarily want to keep revisiting over and over again. It's kind of like, and you hopefully get a wake-up call out of it, and then maybe it is something you go back to and be like, oh, yeah, I remember that, and it inspired me to go do this.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. I don't really have anything to say except, like, I don't know, like, I get what the end of the movie was trying to say, but I have my own opinions, which we'll get to. But for the most part, you know, I like, you know, it's definitely not a favorite, but it's like a deeper movie. And then, you know, we always have the memes of like, what if toys had emotions? What if emotions had emotions? What if black people had emotions? So, you know, that's the meme. So I'm quoting the meme. So, you know, I guess points for having a black cast for his first time you did
and
it,
co-director.
Yeah,
well.
yeah. I'm sure that was probably the influence.
Also, I think the rendering on this has gotten Pixar is freaking rendering their textures, the lighting, everything. This is the most real looking Pixar movie I've seen come out of them, and like even if the character designs don't look realistic and they look more like stylized, it's the world that they're in. It's just I mean, any shot that has New York in it, you look at that and you're like, that can't be computer animated. That looks like real life New York, right down to the blaring sunlight that comes down in the middle of the day on people as they're, you know, bustling on the sidewalks, getting from place to place. It felt very real, and I loved how much they put into making it look really good. So, you know.
I noted the concern that people had, I think, off the back of the trailers, which was like the fact that you had a black lead character for the first time in a Pixar movie, who then immediately becomes Blue Blob, and it's like yet another one of like how Will Smith became a pigeon, how Princess and the Frog became frogs, and this, and I think at least, because obviously the trailers can only say so much, and I'm avoiding spoilers, but like at least like the Blue Blob parts are pretty small, I think, in the scale of the whole movie. It is like there's a lot of scenes that predominantly with seeing like black characters and the communities. You know, they visit the barbershop and the jazz clubs and this kind of thing, and so there's definitely a heavy presence, and there's been such a clear effort to represent caricatures in such a way that don't fall prey to racial stereotypes as they, you know, as the portrayal of black people have been for so long in the history of animation. So these are characters that are still very stylized, but not in the gross racist ways they have been to date.
Yeah. I know people had that argument going in, and I was like, no, wait, hold on. I mean, trailer with Pixar, you know them, they only show you so much in a trailer, sometimes very little to nothing at all to hint at what's to come, and they'll surprise you later.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much what happened here, is that most of it is actually not in that soul realm. It has to do with the souls, sure, but it's not in the great before or the great beyond or anything like that. It's like they show it there to show the concepts there and to allow for that other side world building. But at the same time, I like that they did focus more on the real world aspects and them experiencing that real world. And the relationships to the people there and the lessons learned there. Like, you didn't have to go, like, yeah, sure, he went to the other side, but what's cool is that, you know, the lessons that he takes away are the ones he realizes he comes back with after going back to the real world and just seeing it in a new way, which again, I don't know how much we're going to dance around spoilers here because I don't know how long we can go talking on it.
I mean, we can jump to
spoilers
soon. So I just wanted like a point of just like we won't do spoilers at a certain point, and then we'll yell, be like, okay, we're gonna do the thing, so go watch it, and so.
All right, Spoiler Town.
Yeah, welcome to Spoiler Town. Population 4,
3.
including well, we
It was a body swap,
including Craig, who's the recording bot. But
it was a body swap movie all along. That one I didn't expect.
No, me neither. And it's funny because seeing on the posters, I'm like, I keep seeing a cat. There's a cat. Anybody gonna talk about the cat? No, nobody gonna talk about the cat. Why is there a cat? Because there was no mention, zero mention. They were very good at keeping it under lock, what they were going to try and do with this movie. So when it happened, I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
The moment it happened, like, oh, here we go.
The thing I took away from the film was that it was very staccato in that it didn't feel like it was so like everyone's assumption off the trailers was the fact that like, okay, so this character dies and we're going to spend the whole film in like this kind of Inside Out-esque like metaphysical conceptual realm of the afterlife. And like how, you know, Inside Out made efforts with its world building, probably to some overdoing and clunky extents, sort of having, you know, here's a section that's dedicated to the train of thought and the section for dreams and the section for conceptual thinking. We thought that they would do the same here with the afterlife, and they have the great beyond and the great before. But it sort of felt like that was what the film was going to be about. It was going to be about this human soul who is acting as if he's a mentor, having like smuggled himself out of the beyond and into the before, and was going to just sort of like explore the afterlife with this preconceived soul, and we were going to see them like explore around whilst this Jobsworth chases after them, but then it bails on that, like almost like within half an hour, and then becomes a body swap. And so now Joe is in the cat, and 22, the soul that doesn't seem to want to live, is now inside Joe's body, and then they have to sort of kind of work together and get along to try to get them back to get back to their souls. And then so it becomes this kind of like, body swap, but only they can't understand the cat, and so they got to figure this out. And then again, half an hour after that, they bail on that, because then it becomes this big like spiritual journey of like figuring out why someone would want to live. And so from the outset, it seems like it's a movie about death, but it really isn't. It bails on that quickly. It becomes a story about life and the reason for living. And it definitely took me by surprise. But as a result, it felt broken up. It felt like it was 3 episodes of a TV show that were back to back. It was like I was binge watching a Netflix series. And so it felt very segmented. But I think maybe intentional or not, maybe, I don't know. But like, I guess as a result, it kind of made you feel like, in a nice way, you've lived a lifetime, because a lot has happened in these like segmented parts. And by the time you get to the end, when you get to this moment where Joe's reflecting on his life, you've lived a life through all the stuff that's happened in like canonically a single day. I think that may have been an intentional decision to make you feel like you've lived a lifetime in this man's shoes, to then get a full appreciation of his struggle against himself, it seems, because it's all about like, is it carpe diem? I can't remember the exact terminology, but like living in the moment. Yeah. He's always waiting for his moment to come rather than living in the moment he has now. Yeah, so I think that's probably why I have a problem with the story, because it's so broken up. Rather than like it takes one story gimmick and just runs with it. Which has its pros and cons, but I think that's why I'm not so keen to quickly return to this movie compared to others, which I feel have stronger stories with more compelling characters to stick around.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I hear you on that. It's like, again, it deals with so much heavy matter. Because I just remember seeing a whole bunch of people asking, like, to try and like test the waters of this movie, saying, for people who've seen it, is it like really is it existential? I'm like, this is a movie about the soul and learning what life's all about. Yes, it's incredibly existential. It's nothing but existential, but it does it in a way that, I mean, while it is heavy, it doesn't make it too heavy to face. Again, they try to lighten it up with the whole body swap thing. But what I think
they avoid the heaviness by making it not about somebody dying; it's about somebody living, and I think that's the way they circumvent around that. So it doesn't feel like a downer.
Yeah, and plus he has that chance to live through another's eyes for even a little bit to see. That's why it's like when he gets to see 22 in his body, but then he realizes that 22's approach, because it's like approaching a new world through new eyes, and then he's observing this coming out of his body. He's realizing, this is how I could be approaching life and how I probably should have been, when especially the barbershop scene is one of my favorites because of that. Because it's like when he realizes that the barber had his own dreams, he wanted to be a vet, and he ended up going down the path of being a barber. But then he realized that, and then he goes, but this is your purpose in life, to be a barber, right? And he's like, I wanted to be a vet. Well, why didn't you? I didn't realize you like lost your dream. He's like, I didn't lose my dream. I like basically just, I'm happy. I found a new dream and I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
And then realizing he's like, why didn't I ever ask you this? Or why didn't we ever talk about this? And he's like, you never asked. Mm-hmm. And so then he's realizing from that perspective of how he almost didn't, like, while he lived a good life, at the same time, it's almost like he got so caught up in himself and what he wanted, that with the people around him that helped shape his amazing life, he didn't even realize he was taking those kind of incredible people's stories for granted, and the people in his life for granted, because they all have their own interesting stories to tell as well. And that's what I liked, is they try to capture them in these little moments as he interacts with them in the day, or at least as he watches 22 interact with them in his body. And then again with 22 taking in everything and appreciating the little things, when he's going, oh, that's just silly stuff, it's just pizza, it's just a seedling on the wind. And then you realize it's those little things that sometimes for some people, those are the things that make you happy. It's the fact that you're alive, the little things that you can only experience in life. So, yeah, it's great stuff. Again, it's very deep, but I like those moments where it shows in the real world of taking the time to slow down and appreciate those little things that he had in his life.
I think it definitely captures a mood of, like, I think a generation or two of people who are like, been told they're the special ones and they are entitled and they will grow up and all these things will just fall in their lap, and then it doesn't. And I think this film sort of goes to show that it's like, happiness doesn't find you. You need to find happiness. And it may not be, what you always planned it out so strictly to be. It can be just right in front of you if you don't take a moment to appreciate it. Which, yeah, it's like the fact that Joe even reflects to his own mother, like, if I don't get this one gig, then my life's for nothing. And that's how he perceives himself to be, this like 40-year-old, I can't remember how old the character is, but like, this middle-aged nothing. Absolutely nothing in his life worth having been alive for. And it's like, it's nice, but there's a message out there. But it's like, every other Disney movie could be about chasing your dreams, but this one is about like stop it. Your dream might not even happen, and you can either spend your life resenting that, or you can find happiness where you are, and it can be just as fulfilling.
Exactly. I love the little story about the fish in the fish thinking is in the pond, he's in the ocean. Like, this is the ocean. This is just water. What I want is the ocean, and it's that whole mentality of thinking you want more, and you think at the end, once I have that, I'll be happy. And then I just love that whole parallel that they had for him when he got what he wanted and realized, and that's when I realized the moment he didn't go into the zone. For people who've seen the movie, when he goes into the zone, that little area of like just vibing. When I realized he didn't go into that zone when he was playing up there, when he finally got what he wanted, and it didn't happen, I'm thinking, he isn't fulfilled. He's not feeling it. He's having a realization here. So.
Yeah, that was a spectacular moment, a bold moment, just to have. Yeah, the character got his dream, but it isn't enough. And I know it's a typical thing in storytelling, that like there's the want and the need, and so what he wanted was this thing, but it wasn't what he needed. But like it's nice, it's great that like it's like you can have what you've always dreamed of, but even that. To pin all your happiness on this one thing, maybe you're not happy. if like everything's dependent on this one thing working out for you.
Exactly.
All right, I'll say my thing because I only have one thing, but it's a thing. So anyway, I have conflicting thoughts about this because if you've been listening to the podcast for a long time, congratulations, all two of you. I'm very self-deprecating. But anyway, so like my whole thing is kind of like, being inspired by your purpose and like finding the thing that you love to do, and even if it's like the thing you hate, like, I don't know where I was going with this, but anyway, I'm a very Joe type of person as far as just like, finding that thing and, trying to like either be okay with it or not. And, I've faced the frustration of, really wanting to do that thing, but being in an environment where, no one cares about like the thing here being animation, before I keep on saying things. And you have to kind of get to a place where, you have to kind of make that environment for yourself, essentially, where you're kind of surrounded by like-minded people. You're on a path to like get where you want to be, essentially. And part of my other piece of this, I'll stop trying to say things, but anyway, my other piece of this is like the realization like that I've been dealing with like within Corona anyway, that not that it was all their fault, but my parents did not know what to do with me artistically, and a lot of different things, and they kind of made a lot of dumb decisions with my college. And I got a degree, but I didn't really specifically learn much from the degree. Like, not that you shouldn't get a film degree, but like a lot of like what I know about film has been not from school. It's been from learning about like stuff via my YouTube work. And that's been much more concrete than, especially when you go to state schools and there's like a state art program, and it's all theoretical because that's the easier these are the easier classes to fund than just like getting a camera and that kind of thing. So like in my specific program, you couldn't even touch a camera or go to the green room unless you were in the master's program, which doesn't make any goddamn sense to me. But and I took a couple of dual enrollment classes for art because that's all I could do, and I got really mad when one of the girls was just like, I was looking at like one of my my demo animations, and one of them was just like, "Oh, you're a film student." I'm just like, "I'm sorry, I can't afford fucking art school, cause like, but this is just what I had to do." So, I guess I'm all for like that solidified path, because like what I've learned is like as I start to get closer to getting to that place, then my life has gotten better, and like I haven't, I didn't have the art school like kind of vibe of everyone just being animation nerds and like doing animation projects and staying up late and stuff like that. But in turn, I have built that community on my own with my YouTube stuff, and I'm surrounded by people that like the things that I like on purpose, obviously, and I've had to kind of create that on my own, and I'm frustrated that, it's not like I've said, I think I said this in the art school one, but if I had gotten a real life, like a real art degree, then I think I wouldn't have to be like really we're trying to figure out like what I'm doing with portfolio and stuff like that, and I pick at it a little bit, but it's very hard for me specifically. So I guess my point being is like I like how this film tries to highlight that life is worth living even though you don't get on that solid path, but at the same token, I am someone who wants to go on that solid path and would probably not have a good time if I was doing something I didn't like to do, which is very me themed. So I empathize with Joe, but I don't highly agree that like, I appreciate the whole like, find the little things in life that kind of like give you small joy, and not everything is set in stone. But the same token, like in following like my head as far as what I want to do, like I've kind of like also made my life better, and like I've bitched about how I miss conventions as a general, like privileged first world white person kind of thing. But the same token, like conventions are like one of the places like I feel most alive creatively, like where I'm meeting all these people that enjoy the work that I do, and like I can really physically see the difference I'm making by just doing what I love to do. So I think I've been more personally fulfilled in my artistic journey than Joe has, frankly, because he's like, let's just do this one gig about this one lady who like seemingly lives in town, and it's going to be a recurring gig. We don't know if what he ended up choosing, but it just seems like such like I don't think he really realized how such like small potatoes, as in not so much like it's not that it's not important, but the fact that it it's only a couple of people, you're only playing for a couple, like unless you felt that fulfillment, like of that practice fulfillment of like getting the gig and feeling like emotionally like fulfilled, and like I think Joe has been trying to do that, and I think he has, that's what he thinks he wants, but I don't think he really has any concrete proof, like with his own spirituality. This is getting deep. That that will be the thing he gets once he gets this gig. Versus, like my experience is a little bit different, where I've tried to get the thing that, and it's not been great. And I wish things were slightly different. But at the same time, like when I've been following, the things I like to do, I have felt that creative fulfillment. I'm like, this is why I like to be alive, is like, even though it's very selective, it's just like, like that's kind of the point of art in general, is just like, you do the thing, and then people are like, oh my god, I can't believe you did the thing, and like that's like my whole worldview. So it's, I get it, but like I don't relate to it fully. Okay, there's my TED Talk. Thanks for coming, guys.
Well, I was gonna say it's oh, sorry, you go, Ed.
I was just gonna say that I think the film doesn't really say anything about ambition. I think there's a difference between sort of finding happiness and versus ambition. I don't think it's necessarily saying like don't be ambitious.
Just don't have dreams. It's fine.
It's more that like if everything is pinned on that dream, then what will happen if you don't have, if that doesn't happen? I mean, yeah, that sucks, and there's nothing that there's not to say that it wouldn't suck, but it's about the capacity to still be able to be happy with what you get rather than what you want. And I think as well that there's an interesting thing I read up about the very, very last line of the movie, which is which I'm going to have to paraphrase because I can't remember exactly, but it's words to the effect of like, I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm going to live every moment of it. The original line in the script was going to be, but I'm going to love every moment of it. And somebody in the team pointed out that like, hey, life is like ups and downs, and so it's you gotta have those moments in there too. It's not everything's not going to be great all the time, and so they reworded it based off that feedback. That was one of the animators who actually came up with that. They reworded it based on that feedback of I'm going to live every moment. So I think it's just that. It's just like don't trap yourself in like. I mean, don't get me wrong, KP. I'm very much sort of in the same boat as you when it comes to like a lot of my happiness. I pin too much on what other people think of me. Of like, oh, I really want this video to do really well, and if it doesn't, I'm going to be personally sad about it. And there's this being disappointed because you put a lot of work into something, but if it's like my entire mood for the day is going to be affected on whether or not this video gets the X amount of views, like that's unhealthy. I've been speaking to therapists about that and like how that's just generally living my life through other people's opinions has governed my life for the nearly 40 years I've been on this planet, and I need to sort of to pull myself out of that. And I think that's what this film is flirting with the idea of. It's trying to find happiness and a reason to live beyond ambition, not just ambition.
Yeah, because it's like then it's I think it kind of warns of the tunnel vision where it's like it's totally fine to have focus on something, but don't forget the other things that are in your life that you can also find joy in as well. And it's in those little moments to help balance you out a little bit, it's why, like, especially, it couldn't have been more timely to have this movie come out at Christmas in 2020.
Rip.
Basically, how I see it is like to bring back earlier, like a retreat, a letter at the end of retreat that you're writing to yourself as a reflection, as a moment of reflection. This came around at a moment of reflection for everybody as the year's was coming to a close, and how people were maybe looking at how they valued what they did and what they were doing, and being stuck at home and in quarantine and trying to figure out what is even the purpose, what is my purpose, what is my life, what is
guess I'll die, kind of thing.
And so and then but also in the things of like where it's appreciating the little things you can do, even outside of that, like where some people have been able to take advantage of some of that time to be able to go out on a walk. If they can do it safely, they can go outside and on a walk, and then they can. And it seems like more people have a appreciation for being outside in nature and connecting with nature again. And when they didn't have time to do it before. Then there's also the people who now have a little more time to creatively express themselves. Maybe they started a new hobby, or they try to do this, where they're kind of exploring these other little facets of themselves that they maybe some of them weren't able to do before. They didn't have time to do it before, or they didn't have the means. They didn't have this, especially when coming from an LA person where you spend so many hours in your week alone for work in commuting.
Yeah,
commuting.
LA is
and then
really.
By the time you get home, you're just tired and you have not time for nothing else except maybe dinner, and then you just go to sleep. It's like It's like that. So this has helped a lot of people kind of find other avenues and explore other aspects of themselves. And I like that Soul seems to delve into that a little bit of just, or at least teasing at the possibilities of being like, here are these other little things that, even though they're not part of the whole ambitious drive of this is what you're going for, it's the little things. Don't forget to enjoy and appreciate them, because you have this life to experience them. They don't have to be big things. They can be the little things, and if it's something that brings you even a joy, even in a little bit, even in a little moment like that, appreciate them, So it's, and I think in the most crazy, chaotic year I think most of us have ever experienced in our lives,
Rip.
that was something important to be reminded of, and to think about, because it was in a year where we kind of had to face that part of ourselves. A lot of us did. It was a lot of just facing ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, my only comment is I was going to be like, yeah, LA is really bad right now, coronavirus-wise, so, like, as much as I bitch about, like, I can't do anything, I'm stuck at my parents' house because, like, I can't afford rent, because, corona, like, at least I have, like, I can go to the store, like, I don't know specifically how tight it is, but I'm sure everyone's afraid of everyone in LA. So,
at least you got to see your parents. I couldn't see mine over Christmas and stuff, it's like, but at least for me, I'm at home with my wife and son. I know other people can't or don't have that.
Yeah. Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, Christmas this year was not fun. Well, kind of dramatic for other reasons, like little family drama reasons. So it, and plus, like, I feel like, I mean, this might be spoiled to say, but like I feel like I've had an overexposure to my parents, but like at the same time, like at least and dealing with all the family drama, I just had to hide in my room because I'm just like, I don't really want to deal with any of this. This is not like, and if I was not here, I wouldn't have to deal with any of this and stuff. But at the same time, like, it's like also I get to spend time with Oldie Dog that I probably would not have had before he passed. So, and I wasn't, like, every visit I was just like, okay, this might be the last one, because, like, he keeps on getting older, and he's getting, like, old man, like, and can't walk well. He's not, like, physically sick, but, so, but now it's just like, okay, well, I've had a year with Old Dog. I've had my fill of Old Dog. Not that I want him to die, but like it could have been a lot more brief as far as that. So I don't know where I was going with this, but
I do have one thing, a topic of discussion, and I feel like it's possibly going to either almost end on, or just at least be, just a general topic that has been up for debate since we're already in spoiler territory.
Yeah.
Should Joe have died at the end versus being given a second chance?
I think it's more like narratively fulfilling that he got a second chance.
Mm-hmm.
I think people would have been mad if he was just like he went through all that and then he just dies anyway. Like, so I get why they did that, but and I thought it was funny how they, like, Terry was annoying or whatever. Like, I get that was his or her job.
That was Grandma Tala from Moana, by the way.
Was one of the other ones Wonder Woman lady?
Gal Gadot?
Yeah.
Oh. I don't know.
I don't know. We can IMDb it. So, but yeah, I think he should have lived. I think it would have been narratively pointless if he helped 28 that much, and then he just goes in the hole. We don't see what happens. So, that's what she said.
I don't think Joe should have died. I think it was right that because it's a Pixar movie, and I think ultimately it does need to still end on something of a high note, something of a optimistic, feel good moment. And I think for like a self-sacrifice to be actually seen through like that wouldn't have been right for the end of the movie. It would either have to be that Joe lives and the ending plays out as we currently have it, or if Joe dies, then we like cut over to a baby being born and it's clear that it's 22. Just something to sort of end on an optimistic, uplifting mode. But I prefer that we never see what happened to 22. Like the point was that with 22 is that it's a completely conceptual, amorphous thing that could turn out to be anything. Yes, it has the voice of Tina Fey, but it doesn't mean it's going to be born female. It doesn't mean it's going to even be white. You know, it's just they are just the concept of a life, and I prefer that we don't see that where that went. It's just gone to the world and it's gone to live its life, and it will be born and grow and live. And I prefer it that way rather than being given an answer to a question nobody asked. What do you think?
I think that with the ending, like I'm like okay with the ending we did get, but ideally, if anything, if he died or stayed like a soul counselor, kind of like when he stayed like a mentor. If he stayed and became a mentor, that would have been cool.
Yeah.
It could have ended like he teaches a class like he did at the start.
Exactly, which I think would have been really cute. And where we kind of get the ending of like, okay, so yeah, he lived his life and he realized he lived a good life and was able to at least even have that glimpse of, you know, that kind of glance back and seeing how good those things in his life were, and seeing him in that whole new light. It's kind of like bringing him to a little bit of that peace.
I guess though, thinking about it, if they did an ending where it ends with him like, moving on as a mentor and teaching people, it would almost imply, he found his purpose in death. So suicide's great.
Yeah. So I guess like the whole, so I guess what we could say is that the ending we got was, some people may say it's a cop-out ending, but when you look at it from, especially when you have to think about when you're making stories like this and you have to think about all the possibilities of people who are going to interpret it different ways, this ending was probably the safest one we could have so that people didn't interpret it the other way. So,
do you think this movie lacked a villain? Like
we needed one. Yeah,
they didn't need one.
We had Jerry, the Jobsworth, who was determined to make the tally count. But apart from there was no
Terry,
real.
Yeah.
Oh, it's Terry. There's Jerry's and
the
Terry's.
other ones were Jerry. All the others were Jerry's, and then there was one Terry.
So
I did like Terry's moment with Paul. You know, Daveed Diggs' character. I did like that kind of moment, just like, I got you. Oh, you're not Joe. Okay.
So I mean, so there was no. There was an urgency insofar as there was a time ticking thing, but it wasn't an urgency in that like their souls would be irreparably ruined, or they would be stuck in their bodies, or there's something chasing after them. The thing chasing after them wasn't really a scary threat. It was just somebody doing their job. But do you think that maybe the film lacked drama without that angle, or?
No, I think it delivered on its message perfectly because, I mean, the situation that he's in is just, like, I think there was enough drama in that it didn't have to be a big dramatic adventure thing where it had to be like it didn't have to be like other Pixar movies delivered it. The kind of story that it told was one where the drama was in the situation that he was in already, and then just him looking. It was the introspective drama, not so much an outward external drama. And I think that's what I kind of liked, is that it was more looking at it as a personal drama kind of thing. It didn't have to be something big, and it didn't take me out of anything. I was able to kind of like enjoy the movie as it came without thinking, okay, when's the big chase gonna happen? Because when it didn't happen, I'm like, I'm okay with that. I'm glad there's no villain, because there didn't need to be one.
Yeah, I do agree, because I think if it did have a cartoonish villain, or even if it was just like the great beyond keeps opening up and trying to grab Joe and pull him back in or something, then like
Mm-hmm.
it would probably lose any of those sort of like self-reflective moments.
Mm-hmm.
Those sort of those moments where Joe had an opportunity to observe and just take things in, or 22 would lose that chance to sort of just be able to sort of feel what it felt like to be alive, if
Mm-hmm.
they had to constantly run away from something at the same time. So I agree. I think the film did right to not have a cartoony villain chasing after them the whole time.
Yeah.
Okay, I have one more point if everyone has said their piece.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a silly point. And then there's something we probably need to backtrack for the news that I realized that was a thing that happened. Um, funny note. I think we finished all the existential talk. Again, like another like welcome to the psychology philosophy podcast with animation. Yours with your therapist group, all of us. Anyway, bad joke. So my question for you guys: where do you think John Ratzenberger was during this? Because apparently he wasn't listed in the credits, but the crew confirmed he was there. It's just a mystery right now where he is.
I think he was like some kind of like an off-screen voice. Like
Okay.
I think he was like probably in I think he was like probably in like a flashback or something like that, because otherwise I know I would have heard his voice far more prominently. I'd have
Yeah,
to
he's.
rewatch it again to
It
get the
said they said that he disguised his voice a little bit, so it's not the typical like deep like dude voice.
mm,
So Lauren, do you want to just do a tiny spiel about what we're talking about for people who don't know what we're talking about?
okay, for people I'm sure everybody kind of knows already. If you've watched plenty of Pixar movies, you kind of may notice that there is one recurring voice actor that seems to be in all of them. And actually, he is technically in every
Yeah.
major feature film. Uh, is John Ratzenberger, who you may know from Cheers. If you didn't watch Cheers, then give it a watch. But Frasier's better. Anyway.
Yeah, Frasier is better. I love Frasier.
I love Frasier. Tossed salads and scrambled eggs. Anyway, but with John Ratzenberger, he has a very distinct voice. And from the beginning, pretty much since Toy Story, since the very first feature film from Pixar, John Ratzenberger has been a voice. He's Ham in the Toy Story movies. He is the Abominable Snowman from Monsters Inc. He's Mac in the Cars movies. He's everywhere. He's also the Underminer in The Incredibles. At least
Get that guy out of
first and
con.
second.
He'd do well. Like he could sign everything.
So
Anyway.
basically, John Ratzenberger is Pixar's quote lucky charm. Basically, every movie he's in, they're like, okay, well, this will guarantee with our little lucky charm, our kind of like the lucky rabbit's foot. That'll make sure that the film's successful. So that's pretty much what, by the way, Alan Tudyk has become for Disney movies. Is that Alan Tudyk is now a voice in movies. I think the first one he was in was Frozen, and then they've just kept him around ever since. But yeah, so for this one, when John Ratzenberger, they had to put him in here somewhere, but they put him in such a small role that even I haven't caught it, but I'm sure it was in like a flashback or something like that small, because otherwise I would have remembered him very distinctly which moment he was in.
It's kind of like the Pizza Planet truck that like it is meant to appear in almost every Pixar movie. Like, I mean, it's even the Pixar the Pizza Planet truck. My favorite placement of it ever is in The Good Dinosaur, and it's like in the middle of the asteroid belt, which is such a random. I mean, there's nowhere they put it in a dinosaur world, so they put it there, which is just really funny to me. But
it's a sure
yeah.
why not.
But well, I mean,
Was
yeah.
he-
Do you have your theories of where he is?
No, it's probably just like a background voice that no one's gonna pick up. And like Lauren and I are usually pretty good. Like we'll go to Disney World or Disneyland, I guess, and be like, oh, it's like like we'll hear people and we'll be like, oh, we can name them by their names and just like joke around, and probably the normal people are like, what the fuck are they talking about? Like, how do they do this? And we're just like, it's we just watch an unhealthy amount of cartoons. It's fine. It's fine.
I've got two theories where he could be. First of all, it's one of the mentor characters, because there's a lot of like very snappy cutaways to 22 being trained up by different mentors, and he could just be the voice of one of them. You know, he could be like putting on an accent and pretend to be I can't remember some of the mentors she has, but like it's because it's so quick fire, it only takes her to put like a German accent on or something like that, and now he sounds a bit different. So he's either one of them, or my mad theory is that he's the voice of the great beyond. Where they said, look, just record yourself going "oh" for a little bit, and then we'll slow it down, we'll pitch it down, and you're just this big empty void.
We'll auto tune it. Fine.
John Ratzenberger is the beginning and the end, the alpha and omega. He is all that was and all that ever will be.
Yeah.
Oh, fun. Okay, so any other closing thoughts about Soul? Any horse?
None of us are horses or no.
I'm a horse now.
No, there is so in the pony fandom, instead of every one, it would be every pony. So then I would just be like, bluntly call it like, okay, every horse, like, so that's what I'm doing now. So anyway, now you know mythology stuff.
Yeah. Well,
you're a horse.
I'm an honorary pony now.
That's all I'll say. Just go see Soul. It is worth a watch. You don't have to repeat watch it or anything. Just unless you are missing a few things, which some of them, they do. You may miss a few things on if you miss it the first time. But no, it's definitely worth a watch. I promise you, I didn't cry at the movie, so I'm like, it just gives you a lot to think about. So if you're worried about it being a movie to make you cry, I don't know. It'll hit everybody different, but for me, it just made me think. So go have it.
I'm a big baby ever since I got my PTSD. So like at first I never cried at movies, but then like Lauren, if there's any movie with a dog, like there was. What's that movie like where the dog keeps on getting reincarnated? Like
I never saw that movie because I heard about it and I'm like, not touching that with a 10-foot pole. So
I just love dogs. So
it's like I don't need. It's like I really don't need Marley and Me, but repeating that over and over and over throughout the course of a movie, I don't need.
Well,
that.
there's also a narrative thing that also makes it like very bittersweet too, and I'm just like so it's a sweet cry, so it's good. But anyway, go watch Soul, I guess. And then generally, if you're new, welcome to the podcast. Thanks for listening. Please watch. I haven't counted, but we're like around 45. So there's plenty of backlog. If you're just like, what's a KP? What's a podcast? I don't know what's going on. So the podcast is available on all of the places so that you listen to podcasts. And I think like 2 podcasts are kind of like because usually people use them for like commuting to work, but now there's no commutes anymore, so it's fine. But yeah, like podcast is kind of hit or miss as far as like people like being interested, or other people are just like, I don't know what a podcast is. I don't know what that like. I don't do that.
Just go ahead and check out the other episodes. There's tons there. There's lots of great guests, including Ed, who is a repeat guest with us today. This is the first time
that's me
back. And
you did it.
Very happy to have you back. And I guess, I mean, for people who have already been here, they already know where to find you. But I guess for the new people, we'll do the whole, where can people find you?
Yeah, so my YouTube channel is called Eddache, Eddache. And as I mentioned before, I do video essays on like cartoons and movies and video games and comic books and just generally whatever passion project I'm into at the moment, and that's where I be.
Yeah, and then again, please tell your friends about KP Land, because we're hurting a lot. Like as we were talking about, like not that it's about the numbers, but we're we're trying to kind of like remind people that we still exist. So if you have any friends that are like, what's a KP? What's a Kim Possible? That's a stupid name. Then you can be like, oh, she's cool. She used to do a horse, but now she does not horse stuff. And that's okay because people can expand their interests like normal people. Like, comment, subscribe, comment in the YouTube algorithm. I'll end on this note too. So I got an email like from, I guess, some like podcast, like automatic like tracking site. So we are number 35 podcasts for TV and film in Pakistan.
In Pakistan.
So thanks, Pakistan.
Woo. Thank you, Pakistan. I guess if
I don't know. I thought it was funny and it was like really specific and random. So I'm like, okay.
Cool. We have a base over there to a degree. You know. I'll take it. Thanks. Thank you.
Thanks, the Pakistanians. You're neat. So I don't speak like what's the main language in Pakistan? Do you know?
Pakistani.
It's Pakistani.
Okay. I just was like, is it a trick question? Is it like French or something? So I don't speak. I'm not very good with languages, but thanks for listening in English. We appreciate your horse support. So
I'm sorry. Technically, it's Urdu.
Okay, yeah, that's why I was just like, is it just like Canada speaks Canadian, right?
I think it depends on the region,
the
right?
nationality is Pakistani, but the language is Urdu, and there's actually like a little bit of Punjabi, Pashto, Sindhi. So there's a mix.
Yeah, it depends on the area.
The official, I guess, national language is Urdu. But there you go.
That's the thing I learned today. So subscribe, like, comment, subscribe on YouTube to the podcast if that's the best place you get it, or wherever you get it. Like, YouTube is usually the most accessible for people. So
yeah,
whatever.
And plus we get like little visualizer stuffs, so that's cool too. So yeah, thank you all for joining us. Thank you, Ed, again for joining us again today. And
thank you for having me. Pleasure to be here.
Yeah, I'm glad because we have great conversation here, and you vibe with us real well. So I'm always glad to have you for conversation here. So you're always welcome back, obviously.
Thank you. Thank you for accommodating my difficult time zone.
It's fine. You don't do it on purpose. I'm gonna have to watch your Scooby-Doo video now.
Please do. It's also underperforming.
Okay, like,
so
comment, subscribe.
Stuff, guys.
Okay, and then my other note is if you guys have any preferences for guests in the future, because we're kind of like spitballing guests. Not that anyone ever comments on anything, but
I mean, you brought me back. You must be scraping the bottom of the barrel.
I know, I guess we'll just get the beard guy back. It's fine. So, feel free to yell at us on social media and probably also tag the person to know that we exist and we're legit. So if anyone has any requests, let me know.
And also, one final note. Happy New Year, everybody. We're going to
Happy New Year.
We're gonna
wear a mask still.
Everybody stay safe and have a very happy, healthy, Happy New Year celebration. I know it's after January 1st at this point, but, people are going to be celebrating the fact that it's not 2020 for a little bit here. So we're good. We're good.
Yeah, neato. Okay.
All right. Night, everybody, or good day, depending on the time of day. So have a good day.
Have a good
whatever
Christmas.
time. Have a good time of day, whatever time of day it is.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening to Animation Communication on YouTube, Spotify, or your favorite podcast provider. We are really hoping this show makes a difference in how people view animation and media, as well as giving and providing advice for people all over the world who like or want to join the animation or media industry. If you liked what you heard, please remember to subscribe and rate those 5 stars, as well as tell your friends. Don't forget to subscribe to our main YouTube channel, I Love Kim Possible a Lot, and turn those notifications on. My name is Scribbler, and you have been listening to Animation Kimmunication.